welcome to ePG Pathshala lecture series on computer science. In this module on data analytics, we will be taking one last topic on data stream, which is an application related to data stream. The application that we are going to discuss is stock market prediction. So, what are the objectives? We will be first understanding what exactly is predicted in a stock market, and there how data stream comes into picture. So, we will be first learning the need for stream mining in applications like stock prediction, and this stock prediction is done from Twitter dataset. Actually, this PPT of this module has been prepared based on say a paper stock prediction using Twitter sentiment analysis published by Anush Mittal and Arpit Goyal. In their paper, they are doing sentiment analysis and use machine learning principles to find correlation between public sentiment and market sentiment from tweets. Both the public sentiment and market sentiment are available in tweets. All that we need to do is extract the tweets related to a specific time zone and then identify the public sentiment and market sentiment, develop a model that will generate a correlation between or the relationship between public sentiment and market sentiment. Having understood this public mood, then you can use this predicted public mood and the previous day stock market index values to predict the stock market movement on the next day or on the forthcoming days. So, the overall objective here is handling Twitter data which is treated to be a stream. So, every tweet that comes into picture can be considered as a stream data and then applying analysis over the given stream data. For this particular work, you may require exhaustive pre-processing and then understanding the data initially, because the data that you collect from various social networking applications or sites may contain lot of noises, in other words information or data that is not essential or completely irrelevant for the given analysis. Therefore, we must spend at least 75% of our efforts towards cleaning the data or pre-processing the given data. Now, when we talk about sentiments, it is say about how individuals feel about a topic or about an entity, or in real world scenario it can be about a product. For example, when you want to purchase a particular product from various online shopping portals, we will not be directly going and purchasing those products. Instead, we will first go through the reviews. Now, what is the purpose behind going through the reviews about these products is to understand how customers who have already purchased those products feel about the product. So, the feel over here is nothing but the sentiments associated to the customers. When we talk about products alone, we do not get sentiments. We can get sentiments even on topics or news articles. So, you can go through various news websites, identify say the topics or articles, the most recent articles, understand how the authors of those articles actually portray the given incident, and based on the keywords used in the articles, you may be in a position to identify what is the sentiment of the author towards that particular news event. So, sentiment analysis actually plays a very vital role when you are trying to recommend many things online. One best example is recommendation of products in online portals like Amazon, Flipkart, etc., etc. Now, having understood what is a sentiment, in this work let us understand how they have taken the data stream, that is tweets, what type of data have they taken and what analysis have they done. First, let us discuss about the data set which they have collected. They have worked on two main data sets. One is the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which is similar to the Sensex of India. So, the Dow Jones Industrial Average value was collected from June 2009 to December 2009. The data actually was not collected directly from the stock market, it was collected using Yahoo Finance. So, when we want to analyze any stock market prediction or identify the trends in stock market, you can very well depend on many online portals like Rediff Money, Yahoo Finance, etc., extract the details provided by them and then use them for analysis. So, similarly, in their work they have taken the data available in Yahoo Finance, which actually includes the opening, closing, high and low values of Dow Jones Industrial Average on a given day. The second type of data which they took was the Twitter data, because the data collected from stock market does not highlight any sentiments. We have to first understand the moods of individual. The moods directly indicate how one individual looks at a company's share, and accordingly we can predict whether the company share may take a larger value or may take a dip in the stock market. So, to know that, somewhere you will have to know how people react to a company share or how people react to, say, the Sensex value or Dow Jones Industrial Average value. So, one common place where you can find is social networking sites. Therefore, as part of this work, the authors have taken Twitter data, and the number of tweets which they have collected was 476 million tweets specified to the specific time zone 2002, June 2009 to December 2009, and the number of users who have posted these 476 million tweets were 17 million users. So, the data that you are going to take is going to be a voluminous data set. The data which they have collected actually includes the timestamp, that is the time at which the tweet was posted, the name of the user who posted the tweet text which is the actual tweet itself during that particular point of time. Apart from this, Twitter data may also provide many other values like replies, comments, likes, etc., but those information were not considered for their analysis. As I already mentioned, when you collect data from social networking sites, you may face lots of challenges. The first challenge is the data is completely dirty here in the sense it is unclean. Now, what may be uncleanliness associated to a social networking data? The data that you collect may be language specific. When it comes to a language, you may not encounter proper grammatical sentences, you may encounter lot of abbreviations, you may encounter numbers and alphabets coming together, you may encounter a lot of icons highlighting emotions or feelings, sometimes there may be star rating. Now, all these things need to be normalized or need to be transformed into a suitable format which is understandable by the algorithm, sentiment analysis algorithm. So, what is that you need to do is, you need to perform lots of pre-processing on the given data. So, when you want to pre-process, the first thing you may encounter is missing value. Now, how missing value might come? This we have discussed in our earlier modules. In case if you are collecting data automatically, there is lot of chance for a device to malfunction. When the device malfunctions, then the data acquired sometimes may not be available. Therefore, the automatic data collection tool may result in a null value or a completely empty information. Now, these null informations need to be replaced, only then analysis can be done very effectively. Sometimes what may happen is, the person who is collecting data may not be in a position to understand what is available in the given environment, and therefore, because of ambiguity in the available data or because of less expertise over the given domain, human can also make an error in eliminating few information. This will also result in missing values. Now, here in this scenario, what was a missing information? The Dow Jones data which they have collected from Yahoo Finance is only for 5 working days, Monday till Friday, but on Saturdays and Sundays stock market is leave. Therefore, for Saturdays and Sunday you may not find the Dow Jones value, but normally what we do is, the closing index on Friday will be considered for Saturday and Sunday, and from Monday we will start with the closing index on Friday. This is how we normally consider the Sensex value. But here for real analysis, if you are going to make use of the closing value, sometimes it may be correct because during Saturday, Sunday, because of certain unusual events or say scenarios or policies, there may be a change, and accordingly the index value or Sensex value may change. This is because of individuals' sentiments over say various company share or about the Sensex value. Therefore, what you can do is you can make use of various metrics by which you can replace the missing value. One simplest way by which you can replace the missing value is taking the average. So, you can always take the day before and the day after, that is Friday index value and then Monday index value starting value, and then take the average. This average information may be useful for filling in the Saturday and Sunday information. But taking an average sometimes may go wrong. The reason is, suppose the data that you collect is going to be an erroneous information on Friday. Then when you take an average, the average sometimes may be oriented towards the erroneous data. For example, if the Sensex value is say 1000 points on Friday, assume this is a wrong information, and on Monday the Sensex value will say 2500 index value. If you are going to take average, then it is going to be 1000 plus 2500 divided by 2, 3500 by 2, which is going to be 1750. Now, the 1750 is actually a lower value for Saturday and Sunday. Actually speaking, if Friday index value is 2000 and Monday index value is 2500, then your average will be somewhere around 2250. So, the value that you are considering, if it is erroneous, then taking average will result in a more erroneous data. So, you must be very careful when you are taking the average. So, what experts sometimes may do is they make use of the median value. So, they sort the information available and take the middle information, because when you are sorting them, even the lowest or the highest erroneous or noise information will move towards the boundaries, extremes. Therefore, in the middle you will have only the correct values. So, you can take the center value and use it for missing the filling in the missing values. Here, as part of this work, they have made use of average with an assumption that the data on Friday and Monday is going to be correct. Then the second important pre-processing which they did was, normally when we work with respect to index Sensex value, there will be periodic ups and downs or jumps and falls. This period, this brief period of ups and downs or the small fluctuations need to be centered to a specific value or an average value. So, this changes should not affect the actual value that has been collected. So, here as part of their work, they have averaged these sudden ups and downs or high and lows in the index value, and it has been used for their analysis. Finally, the value that you collect may be a very large value. Sensex value, if it is going to be say for example 1000, you can make use of an integer data type. If it is an integer data type, then you should have minimum of 4 bytes. If 4 bytes means, then 4 into 8, which is equal to 32 bits. If you are going to collect this say for 1 month, assume in 1 month you have say 30 days. So, 30 into say 4 bits. So, it is going to be 120 bytes, 30 into 4 bytes. So, 120 bytes, and over a period of time, say if it is for 1 year, then 120 multiplied by 12. Now, what may happen is, in your main memory you may not have enough of space to hold the entire information. Therefore, you will have to normalize the values in the range of 0 to 1 or even in a very smaller range. Here in this case study, they have made use of a methodology called Z-score computation, which makes use of the average and standard deviation for mapping a larger value to a smaller range. So, if the given value is x and the average of the set of given value is mu and its standard deviation is sigma, then a value x will be converted into a value represented by this equation. So, these are the 3 types of pre-processing which they did as part of their work. Having conditioned the data, that is made ready the data without any uncleanliness or dirtiness and put into a specific format for the purpose of analysis. Next, let us understand what approach did they follow for the purpose of doing the prediction over data stream. So, here there are two things, one is sentiment analysis, another one is model learning. The data that you are going to take is a stream data, you process the stream data and then the stream data will be provided to the model learning. Similarly, the second stream data, that is your tutor data, will be given to the sentiment analysis, identify the moods of individuals. Parallelly, the sentiment analysis module will be provided as input to the learning model. Now, what the learning model will do is, the learning model will try to identify the mapping between the public mood and the market mood. So, the market mood will be identified from the Dow Jones data, the public mood will be understood from the tweeted data, a mapping between the public mood and mapping mode must be identified. This learnt information may be used further for portfolio management. So, now you can decide, should I purchase a particular company share or not, should I sell a particular company share or not, or so on. So, such kind of decisions can be done. Now, when you take a look at this diagram, you will find sentiment analysis is happening here and machine learning approach is here. So, you are trying to make use of a machine learning approach for making the model to learn based on the data collected from the real world scenario. This machine learning approach actually is an incremental approach. The reason is, the changes that you may encounter on a daily basis will be very minimal. So, the model has to learn in a very minimal incremental fashion. So, either a stochastic gradient descent approach might have been used, or say methodologies like support vector machine neural networks may be used for the purpose of incremental updates. Overall, this approach makes use of sentiment analysis and machine learning approach for doing portfolio management. Now, for sentiment analysis, what did they do? They were trying to work on 4 moods classes. One is calm, happy, third is alert and the last one is kind. The methodologies that were adapted for the purpose of working on these 4 mood classes was word list generation, tweet filtering, daily score computation and then score mapping. Now, let us discuss all these 4 processes in detail. What is word list generation? Normally, you will have to predict the moods of individuals only by means of a feedback from those individuals. As part of the experiment, in this work, the authors have provided a questionnaire which indicates some questions highlighting the moods. So, profile of mood states POMS questionnaire was used in this experiment. So, the persons from whom feedbacks were collected were asked to rate his or her current mood by answering 65 different questions on a scale of 1 to 5. These 65 words were then mapped to 6 standard POMS moods like tension, depression, anger, vigor, fatigue and confusion. Now, when you are considering the entire questionnaire data set, you may be looking in for certain common or relevant terms. In other words, it will be the synonyms of the 65 words using WordNet models or SentiWordNets. You actually have 2 online resources, one is WordNet, another one is SentiWordNet. WordNet does not highlight a sentiment, but here in this experiment or in this case study, they were trying to analyze sentiments. So, SentiWordNet was the online tool which was used for the purpose of mapping the 65 words with other sentiments available in this thesaurus. So, ultimately, if you are going to analyze sentiment, you require a thesaurus that highlights a set of terms and terms that may be interrelated to these terms or synonyms to this particular terms. Having identified set of terms related to the 65 keywords which is part of the questionnaire, then you will have to perform tweet filtering, because all the tweets which you have collected may not highlight a feeling. Only in few tweets the users might have expressed their feeling. Therefore, you should identify those tweets that contains expressions or feelings of users. Now, in natural language processing, One best way by which you can identify say a positive or a negative sentiment is by means of looking at the parts of speech called adjective. For example, if a customer reviews a particular product as a very good product, then when you perform a natural language processing on the given statement very good product, good will be tagged as an adjective. So, the good over here, that is the term called good, actually highlights a positive sentiment. Now, from where you can know whether it is positive or negative is, it is from the SentiWordNet. In this case study, they have made use of SentiWordNet, which was explained in the previous slide. They have taken the keywords from the tweets, and these keywords were mapped to say the SentiWordNet to identify whether it is a positive feeling or a negative feeling. So, for this you will have to tokenize the tweets, then you will have to perform a parts of speech tagging. What is the real great challenge is when you are working with respect to tweets, as I already mentioned, tweets will not have grammatically correct statements, it will have lots of abbreviation. So, another pre-processing which you should do here is you will have to expand all the abbreviations, you will have to eliminate the alpha numeric words, or sometimes there may even be transliterated terms. So, from one language you will translate the word exactly into an English term. So, this translation will not be based on the actual meaning, but it will be based on the pronunciation. This is called as transliteration. In case if you have a transliterated term, then you will have to refer to the dictionary and then replace it with equivalent terms. These are the real challenges. For doing this itself, you require a domain specific dictionary. Constructing a domain specific dictionary requires an exhaustive work. So, here they have looked in for certain keywords like feel, makes me, I am or I am, and then used this for the purpose of understanding whether the tweet is highlighting or showcasing the expressions or the feelings of an individual. Having eliminated those tweets that do not highlight an expression or feeling of a customer, then you should compute the score. Now, this score must be computed on a daily basis because stock market index will have a daily value. So, score for every POMS word on a given day must be calculated, and this is calculated using the given equation. Number of times the word matches tweets in a day divided by total number of matches of all words, that is the number of total matches of all words. The denominator in this equation accounts for the fact that the number of tweets could vary from one day to the another day, because the number of tweets in say any social networking environment will surely vary based on the users. Users are of course going to be dynamic in any social networking application, and accordingly tweets may also vary. So, based on this equation, daily score is computed, and then the score is mapped to each of the 6 standard POMS expressions or feelings, and these 4 states of mood, these 6 states of mood are then narrowed down to 4 mood states as mentioned in the earlier slide. For example, if there is a keyword happy, then it is considered as a sum of vigor and negation. So, in case if you have a feeling called vigor and say negation occurring together in a particular tweet, then you will not be tagging the tweet to vigor and negation separately. Instead, you will sum both these moods and then save that or label that particular tweet with say a mood called happy class label. So, few of the tweets and the expressions in the tweets were aggregated, and accordingly labels are associated to the given tweets. Then they have made use of a statistical methodology for the purpose of ascertaining whether the moods that were identified are really correct or not. So, the mood values returned by their methodology need to be used for predicting the future stock movement. So, for that purpose they made use of Granger causality analysis, in which p values of the data set will be calculated and it will be verified for certain level of significance. The Granger causality analysis actually predicts to what extent the predictive information on one signal is dependent on the other signal. In other words, it is a simple correlation. So, there may be two or more variable, and you are trying to identify how one variable affects the other. So, here they are trying to identify to what extent a predictive information on one signal is dependent on say another signal. Here the dependency is to what extent it is lagging. Based on this Granger causality analysis, which is actually a simple linear regression to identify the correlation, we may be ending up with a relation between two variables or two moods of state. But practically speaking, you need to understand the correlation between the stock movements and the mood. Therefore, you will have to come up with say a learning model which will make use of the daily collected index value, stock index value, and the daily predicted users mood values. Now, you will have to perform say a learning, and here in this case study they have done this learning based on 4 approaches, that is 4 different learning algorithms. One is linear regression, second one is logistic regression, third one is SVM support vector machine, and fourth one is self-organizing fuzzy neural networks. Now, all these 4 methodologies, when you take a look at it, you will understand from our earlier module, linear and logistic regression is related with correlation. Support vector machine is also another analytical technique which provides a correlation between variable and class label, and self-organizing fuzzy neural networks, in general neural networks, is also a kind of correlation analysis. So, in all these 4 learning methodologies, they were trying to identify the correlation between say the public mood and the the market mood, that is the current day stock prices. Now, in all these 4 approaches, you will find there is going to be an incremental update in terms of the data that is used or in terms of the learning that is used. So, this incremental update is going to be very, very minimal, and therefore, even when an erroneous information is fed, even for example, in case of neural network environment, even if you are going to work with respect to an erroneous data, then the data that is incremented, that is updated in an incremental fashion, since it is very, very minimal, there will not be a large error as an output. In neural network especially, the errors are fed back to the system, therefore, the system actually modifies or fine tunes itself for the purpose of eliminating these errors. So, as part of this work, they have made use of this slow updates algorithms, learning algorithm. Here when you take a look at SVM is actually a kind of supervised learning algorithm, but when we talk with respect to neural network, it is a type of unsupervised, but they have made use of a fuzzy neural network. So, certain data has been fuzzified, converted into text class labels, and then created the training data, thereby it becomes a supervised learning. Based on all this information, ultimately what is that you can do is, you can perform portfolio management. Now, when you are performing portfolio management, what you can do? You can predict, that is, if you can understand the Dow Jones closing value one day in advance, then you can tell what may happen on the next day, and accordingly certain decisions can be done. The first decision, future decision which can be made is, one is pre-computation. Maintain a running average and standard deviation of actual adjusted stock values for the previous k days, and based on this you can do a prediction. Now, when you are working with respect to running or moving average, it is over a specific window, and the window will move or highlight only the most recent element. So, for every 2 day, for example, the window will highlight say only the most recent 2 day information. The next type of decision which you can make is buying decision. Having understood the averages over a period of time with respect to the index value, stock market index value, now you can predict what may be a particular company share. Now, you can also predict what may be the stock value for the next day, and this may even be extended for the next n number of days. So, having understood the standard deviation and the mean, then you can easily predict what may be the stock value in the future, in the near future. The third type of management decision that you can make is selling decision. Now, selling can happen only when we find the market is in favor of us. In other words, when it is profitable. So, the predicted stock values is m standard deviation more than the actual adjusted value with respect to the buying time. Now, what is that you can do is you can compute the difference between these two, and accordingly you can decide whether to sell a particular stock or to hold a particular stock. Such kind of portfolio managements were done on a given data set. And finally, what challenges did they overcome, or what challenges may be highlighted when you are dealing with respect to data stream is, say, privacy protection becomes very difficult. Handling this data and managing this data for a very longer time duration is another difficult task because the memory is limited. Mining on the entities and events from a stream data becomes a difficult task because with a restricted memory you will have to work on all the entities or all the events that occurs as part of a data stream and retain a summary of it. Evaluation of stream mining algorithms still is not standardized, or you do not have enough of metrics for evaluating stream mining algorithms. Finally, developing a decision support system using a stream mining requires voluminous data as well as memory. So, these are all the various challenges that may occur when you work with respect to stream mining, and these boxes here indicates the various phases like understanding the requirements, data understanding, preparing the data for analysis, modeling the data for prediction, evaluating, and finally deploying the model for the purpose of decision making. So, having understood these many challenges, now it is up to you to take up these challenges and come up with various research problems. So, to summarize, the analysis which is made as part of the work reported in this slide highlights stream data and mining over stream data. Always correlations among the elements in the stream data can be easily identified, and it may be used for the purpose of understanding the mood of the public. Based on the mood of the public, you can make various prediction analysis and accordingly use for many real world data set. Thank you.